Yeah. So, hi viewers, welcome to our channel, Dibya English Academy and English Ki Duniya. These two channels are meant for learning English language for kids and adults. English Ki Duniya, especially, it focuses on adult people, how language can be learned. Various topics are already prepared and made. Some of them are already uploaded in the videos, so you may go through that. At this moment, we have adult learner joining from the state of Maharashtra, and it's nice to see him here, Nivas. Now we are going to have discussions or the conversation about English language. How should it begin learning? What are the areas we must be making sure of ourselves? How should we getting aware of? And what are the really very important concepts that we really need to work on, focus on, and emphasized on about learning language. So, first of all, now I just want to tell you, Nivas, as you know that our course name is called English for International Communication. What does it really mean when we say English for International Communication? Actually, when we talk about learning English language, what happens as we know that English is an international language. The people learning English language, especially such kind of people where the language is not spoken as their first language, they will be learning English language in their life. So when they begin it learning from their own languages, what happens? The chances are they mispronounce some of the words. That means the pronunciation area will not be that much improved, or some difficulties or some misunderstanding may occur. If it happens, so internationally, the acceptance is not going to be coming very soon. That is the one thing as far the pronunciation is concerned about. We must be making sure that we pronounce all English words very correctly. Second thing is that we do need to follow some structures of speaking English language in international ways. Like, what are the things that we say in our Indian English, in a simple English, easy to communicate, easy to understand. But in internationally, sometimes it is also not accepted, might not be acceptable. For example, how are you going to get there? Get there? What should I be getting there? Some confusion, misunderstanding, not getting it exactly. What is this? These are the sentences being spoken by people, especially the native English speakers. So, after learning language, we may feel that yes, we know language, I know English. What if it happens talking to someone from other countries? If the question is asked to me, how are you going to get there? And if I don't get it, that means the language I speak, it's the Indian language. I do understand, but sometimes some kind of structures, sentences, I find it difficult to understand. How and why? Because I am not aware of that. So, English for international communication will help us to understand English in such a way so that it is acceptable as per the pronunciation is concerned about. Second thing is that we make it sure we do follow the structures which is acceptable internationally. That's why the course name is called English for International Communication. And after that, there are four things to remember before you begin learning English language. What are the four things? As you know, D stands for determination, R stands for resources, H stands for hard work, and then T stands for time. four things to remember before you begin learning English language. Now, what would you like to say about these four things and why are they important according to you? Please go on.
Yes, they are also important to hear before we start the any language. We should have the determination. Until unless we have determination, we are not going to reach out our goal. If we have strong determination, strong willpower to do something, then something is going to be achieved very soon. And second thing is that resources. Wherever we are learning the language, we should make resources. Suppose we are getting some chance to read some content, then we should be able to read it. We should not miss that opportunity. So we should create many resources to learn the language. There are so many resources available, like YouTube, Google, by which we can improve our English. And the third one is hard work. In every field, without hard work, there is nothing. So we will have to hard work. Until unless we hard work, we will not get success. If we want to succeed in life, then everyone must have to hard work. And last thing is that what is exactly something? Last thing,
It's time.
time. Yes, actually, before getting success, everything takes time. So it's English language. If we want to learn this language, we will have to take the time for this language. Then and then we are going to learn systematically. And if we are not ready to give the time, then we are not going to learn. And it's a process of learning. So language will take time.
Absolutely. So, I do agree with you. These are the four things to remember before we begin learning English language. First of all, making sure that we are determined. We thought that yes, it's our importance, the urgency of learning language, and we do make it sure. Yeah, we must be learning language. We have zeal, passion, commitment. We do understand the urgency of learning English language, and there is a strong desire in our heart for learning and achieving language within short period of time. That's why we definitely think of doing that. But and if it is not there, then it's going to be like someone is forcing us to learn language. We are being forced by someone, you do this, you do that. There's no feeling from our heart, from inside, doing this particular work or maybe getting trained for learning language. But still people are just forcing, maybe the parents, the relatives, maybe a job, maybe some circumstances, something like that. But if we have the commitment, zeal for learning language, it helps us just one kind of driving force in the process of learning English language. As you uh, as a adult learner joining from the state of Maharashtra do understand the learning urgency of English language, how important it is, and adults joining in this online class being benefited a lot from various places. That's a great moment to see them. But learning language certainly takes some time. Having all those things are very important, as I discussed with you. But the second thing is called resources. As for the India is concerned about, we know most of the people they have the zeal, commitment for learning English language. The passion is there. People keep on watching. That is not the much deal in India. But when we talk about learning language, there must be resources. So people learning language without having resources. The statement is written something like that: an army without a weapon is useless. It will be something like that. There is army but not having weapons at all. How will he fight if enemy attacks on him? So having weapons with him always will help him to stand for. So in the same manner, for learning English language, we must be making sure that what are the resources that we can follow, and what are very important resources that we must be following for learning English language. There can be various resources. What one thing we always need to remember in our mind, what is that? That is the best learning will always be achieved by using best resources. In our country, sometimes people don't find the good resources. That's why the learning is not taking place as the level it's supposed to be taking place in their life. So what can be the best resources for learning language? A good English coach, a good English tutor, trainer, teacher, whatever name you may give, who is having really the good knowledge, the sound knowledge about language, and who gives us a lot of opportunity to have practice, interaction with him. We get the opportunity to listen from him. How does he speak? At the same time, we have the opportunity to have conversation with him. And when we make any mistake in speaking, understanding, he is there to assist us. But people have question: for learning language, why should we have a teacher? Why should we join classes for spoken English? We can learn from here and there, from YouTube, from ourselves. Yeah, that can be. That will be just learning few sentences from here, learning few things from that channel, learning few word from somewhere, and then just knowing up to that. But learning it systematically from the trainer, from a coach, from an English teacher will help you to accomplish learning language within short period of time. That also systematically, step by step. First step, second step, next stage, next level. What are the important things, the practice methods, practice topics, all those things will be dealt very effectively. That's why we must be making sure that we do follow the good resources for learning language. And English to English dictionary, grammar, books, YouTube channels, watch lot of broadcasts. All those things are very important. But if we don't do, then how are we going to learn language? That is already understood. Second thing, as you said, third thing, hard work. Many people want to learn language. None of them are willing to do the hard work. Then how it's possible? Without working hard, it is not possible to learn language. I see, especially in this 21st century student, they want to achieve their big goals. But when it comes working hard, not willing to do that. So we need to make sure that we work hard a lot. For working hard in the process of learning language, something like that, learning various topics, doing a lot of practice, finding a speaking partner, having some discussions, and some time going through English grammars as well, finding out some more important topics, the explanation, how does it really function, the structure of language. All those things can be followed very systematically. Finally, as you said, that tea time. Learning is process, it takes time. So it means within a short period of time it is not possible to learn language. It takes a time, like today, tomorrow, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. So what should we doing? We just need to keep on learning while believing that maybe today I'm not able to speak 72 sentences. That doesn't mean it's not going to come. Maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, after 1 week, 2 weeks, definitely. Like one day you had a practice of speaking 100 three forms of verb with 12 tenses. That was a really great exercise to have conversation practice or have speaking practice, something like this. Now, after that, I have question for you. It was the four things that we should be keeping in our mind before we begin learning language. Next, there are four skills, and these skills are also very important. What are your opinion about all these four skills? How and why should we developing all these four skills in the process of learning English language? What would you like to say on this, please? Go on now.
Yeah. First thing is that listening. Listening is very important. Without listening, it is never possible to speak any languages. Whatever we listen, that kind of sentences we speak. That's why it is very much needed to listen more and more. We can say it is a key of the speaking. The more we speak, the more we listen, the more we speak. That's why listening is very much important to learn any language. And second thing is that speaking. Speaking is also one of the best key because we have to speak any language. That time we will have to speak that language firstly. Then we are going to speak that language correctly. That's why after listening, we should be making sure we are speaking correctly or not. That's why speaking is very important. If we are learning new language, if we are learning our mother tongue, so speaking is very important. Without speaking, it is not possible to do conversation. And the third thing is that writing. Writing is also important because we should know how to write mail, how to
Reading.
write
Third
systematically.
thing is reading.
Reading.
Hmm.
Yeah, reading is very important because if we know much word about the English language, then we should start reading from the dictionary on YouTube, on Google. So wherever we are getting that kind of word, then we should start reading. Then reading will also help us to improve our English language. And last thing is writing. We should be able to write any content as we are able to speak, as we want to listen. But if we are not able to write, that's why we should also improve our writing skill. If you want to mail somebody, then my mail should be systematically, and my mail needs to have proper text. That's why we are. That's why these four skills are very much important to learn.
Yes, absolutely. I do agree with you because learning language it doesn't mean just to only listen, speak. It requires to develop four skills: listening and speaking, reading, writing, thinking in English, doing some activities. All those things are very important. Sometimes maybe singing in English also may help us to develop our language. The activities of learning language. Some people will say, okay, if you want to learn English, first of all, you read and collect a lot of vocabularies. And if you have a lot of vocabularies, one day automatically you will speak English. That doesn't happen. Some people will think, okay, if you want to learn English, first of all, you learn whole English grammar. So they start learning whole English grammar and end up only learning the rules. And speaking English also doesn't happen. Many people they give their different opinions about learning English language. So what should be making sure that learning language, as we know that there are some important skills that we need to follow. First of all, listening. Listen English language. The more we listen, the more we have opportunity to speak and understand, to learn new words. That's the one thing. We know the way of speaking sentences. It can be any language. fine. If we listen that language more, we get some idea. In the, I think, day before yesterday, someone called me from state of Uttar Pradesh. That parent was talking to me. My daughter is not able to speak much. She doesn't have the much vocabulary, but I took him to doctor or somewhere where I forgot, maybe some psychologist somewhere like that. But then she said me, we didn't talk to her when she was small. So we just gave her a tab. In the tablet she will keep on watching some movies, some cartoons, and she was addicted to watch the Chinese and French cartoons. So she developed that language just by listening. She got the words, some sentences, and she's not able to speak English. Very few word, very few vocabulary. Then when she took her to somewhere, that person, if he started to talk to her in Spanish or maybe in French, she responded him well. And even mother was not aware of how did it happen. Finally she realized that, yeah. Then he told, your daughter, she has picked up another language by watching that have different movies, cartoons, anything it may be. So now it will take some time for her to learn English language. Don't be worried about much. So I was amazed. Without teaching by someone, just by listening, she developed the language. So we just need to make sure that how important it is listening language. So in order to speak, let us listen more. Find out the opportunity where we have opportunity to listen from people, YouTube channels, broadcasts and all. Spend some time for listening to someone. How do people speak language, which is also going to be very helpful for us to understand. And after that is speaking. Speaking is very important. People neglect it. Shouldn't be neglected at all. Speaking is very important skill, and we need to make sure that without mistake no one may speak. Sometimes the mistake may occur, doesn't mean that it doesn't, it may occur. What should we do? We need to make sure that, yeah, maybe not today, tomorrow, after a few weeks, definitely I will speak well. Because learning language required speaking practice. For speaking practice also, it is better to have a trainer who can give us opportunity to speak it out. When we are speaking, he is there to find out our mistakes. Maybe we are not getting the exact words how language has to be spoken out, but the trainer is always there to assist us. This is the different learning language from a English teacher, from an English coach or trainer. Learning it by yourself or by ourselves, which is also possible, but it is a long process. And reading English definitely helps us to improve our English language. How does that really work in our life? When we read, we learn the word power, we improve our word power, we learn the sentence structures, patterns, how the sentences are constructed. More we read, more vocabulary we can gain. There's a very famous newspaper in India known as The Hindu. It has really very good vocabulary, and most of the people, those who are preparing for their competitive examinations and all, they just keep on going through that, finding out the new words, new vocabulary which can come for their competitive examinations. And after that is writing, learning some writing structures, some patterns which are very important. And finally, as I told you, thinking in English. Once it happens, thinking in English, once we start thinking in English, English becomes our own language. These are the four skills that we should be developing. Now, he will say that which method is better. While learning language, let us find out some opportunities of developing language while listening, while speaking, while reading, while writing. If we do it, that means we are learning language in a complete sense. It's not only the spoken part. As a whole concept of English language, we are willing to learn it very systematically. One kind of complete language course where we have understanding about speaking, reading, writing, understanding as well. After that is called some important concepts. Fluency versus accuracy. What does it mean? We already discussed it. Now it's your turn to speak about that. What does it really mean? Fluency versus accuracy and intelligibility, the topic known as some important concepts.
Yes, fluency versus accuracy means the person who has more skill to speak the language, but he is making a lot of mistakes. So listener will not understand him, and his English will be considered as bad language. That's why and person is speaking well without making any mistake, but he has very slow speed. Like he's speaking you in a slow manner. So that will mark this language. That's why we need to make sure we are having speed as well as we are able to maintain the between accuracy and fluency. So that should be very much important.
How about the intelligibility?
Teachability means we should implement ourselves. I think whatever we have done so far.
Actually, the intelligibility, when we say the intelligibility is the aim of communication, what we speak, people should understand. Maybe if few mistakes occur, doesn't make any problem, but meaning should not be getting changed. It has to be conveyed well. This is what when we say the intelligibility. And after that, as we know, there is known as a next topic, the basic components of English language: word power, pronunciation, and structure. So, what you mean by the basic components of English language?
Yes, actually, word more is a key of language because we don't know much sentences, much structure. Then we can speak only through word power, and we can convey our message, what we want to speak. That is word power.
Very good. Word power simply means having ability to speak, understand more words in that particular language. Maybe we may not know the grammar structure of using the language properly, systematically, using all those words, whatever we know. But the positive side is that we have a lot of words in our mind in that particular language. All those words will help us to understand and speak the language. That is the positive aspect of having a lot of vocabulary in our mind related to any language what we want to learn. Second thing is called pronunciation. What you mean by pronunciation?
Yeah, because the language we are learning, this is not our language. So we should learn pronunciation by listening. Because we are talking something and abroad people is not abroad people are not able to understand us. So we should start working on pronunciation.
Absolutely. If we don't have the correct pronunciation, then what can happen?
They will not be able to understand us. They will ask, I didn't get, come again, come again.
Come again, people will say, I did not come. Your guest, you are saying come again now. Sometime people may understand it in different way. Actually, if we don't have the right pronunciation, what can happen? The chances are it can lead us into miscommunication. That's why we just need to make sure that we try to pronounce maximum English words very correctly, which will help us a lot. Finally, the structure, grammar is very important, but ignoring grammar, we can't learn language. But one more thing is that, learning a lot of rules of English grammar may not help you so much. What should we know? Structure, the way of speaking language. Finally, when we see the next topic that is known as methods of learning English language, what is your opinion about this particular topic?
Yes, actually, there are two methods: translation method and direct method. And if we want to become fluent very soon, then we should always start a direct method. If we if we keep using the translation method, so translation will be habit of our mouth. So we will start thinking first we will speak in our mother tongue, then we will speak in English language. So both language can take time and we will not be able to speak confidently. But when we start direct method, so that helps definitely, and we don't have to think about because we have practiced in that. That's why you should follow direct method. This is the best way to learn speedily.
Appreciate you because of this direct structure method. Also, you happen to give us a call to get enrolled for learning language because this direct structure method will help us to always have access of learning English language in English, and which will prepare our mind to speak it also, because if we know the language in English easily, it can be spoken out. And then in when we see this the methods of learning English language, after that we follow the learning language systematically. We'll begin from the sounds of the alphabet, vowel sounds, consonant sounds, word power, grammar structure, grammar topics. And how about these WH question words? What do you think that each exercise or each exercises, how important are they
Yes, they are
for
very much
learning
important.
language? For
They are very much
example,
important.
WH, it has its own influence, its
Yes,
own role,
because
auxiliary verb.
yes,
Now you
because
tell me, for
other
learning language, going through some systematic way of learning language is more helpful, or just learning few conversation from here and there? What is your idea?
no, it is not helpful to make conversation from here and there. You should follow this method that we are following right now.
Absolutely. What is happening in this method? Because there are many things which we never know, or which we may know very later on while learning ourselves. The use of used to, the use of how often, the use of how long, how really it will be used for asking questions. If someone is asking us questions, if we need to ask tomorrow someone to questions, how really we will use it, how often, used to, different auxiliary verbs and all. So these things are very possible while having class, attending class, having a good trainer, a good coach, with whom always the learner have opportunity to have interaction. So this is what I believe. That's why I suggest people the chances are the both opportunities are available. You may learn by yourself also, but will take a lot of time. Then also might not be sure about up to what extent you have really learned the language. Going to an expert will help you to save your maximum time and give you a lot of a clarity about language, discuss with you a lot of important topics, learning more topics and important topics, understanding them, making sure that how do you use them in your spoken conversation will give you very sound knowledge of English language and sound knowledge uh, about English language. What do you think about this?
Yes, definitely, I agree, sir.
Yeah,
Also, we should learn like this.
like WH question words. There are 14 WH question words. When, why, where, who, how much, how long, how far, how often.
Yes, what I observed without WH question doesn't start any
And
conversation.
actually, the problem is not that I don't know English. I don't know some of the words, some of the sentences. Then finally, the conclusion will come I don't know English. Maybe someone is asking you the question, how often? How often? You don't know that question, the WH question. Finally, your conclusion will come, no, no, sir, I don't know English. It is not like that. That's why joining in the course, like adult English language course, is very helpful for the adults. Within short period of time, getting a lot of confidence, having everyday access to have conversation practice, developing the language, which is very important. Now, for example, WH question board, it has its own role. 24 auxiliary verb, they have their own roles. Three forms of verb, it has its own roles. Like that, the various important topics are there. Learning language from an expert will save your maximum time and will make you to learn language very systematically, and then you will get confident in speaking also. But the problem is these days finding a good trainer coach is also not easy task. People just cheat but then don't serve people very well, don't teach them well. These are the very important things also we must be making sure about it. How about English grammar? How important it is according to you for learning language?
Actually, we can't ignore grammar because we have to give competitive exams, so we must know grammar. That's why grammar is important, but when it comes to speaking area, so we always should not follow grammar. Some rules, some structure, with the help
Absolutely,
of we can talk.
I do agree with you. It means like we can't ignore grammar, but we should not learn grammar separately and English separately.
Yes.
Learning English grammar separately will not help you to learn English. Like if I teach you grammar here, you will become the master of grammar. When you have to speak, then still you will have not no confident. Flow is not there. So don't learn grammar separately. Learn grammar whatever you want to speak according to that structure. Build up your grammar topics also so that you get more confident. Like for example, we were learning some basic sentences of spoken English. In that we learned grammar also, but I did not teach the rule of grammar. We learned grammar by practicing English. One way we are practicing English, another way we are learning grammar also. When it comes in practicing to allow sentences, what is there? There is a grammar, but I'm not teaching it. Rule, write the rule number one, rule number two. We are practicing. Once we are practicing it, then what is happening? Grammar is being followed automatically with us because the way we are practicing grammar is all right in that structure. So never do this mistake, like firstly learn grammar separately, later on then think, okay, I will learn English also. While learning English and speaking English, having conversation in English, so along with that, learn the grammar also for your use, whatever you are learning English in speaking mode. This is what I tell you. And finally, what you think about these six sentences and 12 sentences, various topics, all those activities, how important they are in the process of learning language? What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, they are playing major role of speaking because uh, in the conversation, question can be any type. Means it can be interrogative, can be WS. That's why we should be able to ask in any sentences. If we have to ask question, if we have to answer, that's why we should be able to make the question. If we want to ask a negative question, then we must know. That's why six sentences is very much important, and also 12 sentences.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Finally, now you tell me, I guess your 1 month is about to finish. How is your experience of learning language in the Via English Academy's online class, especially adult online class, one by one or in groups? What is your experience
Yes,
learning language in the Via
I
English
got,
Academy?
yes, I got much confidence in this class, and it had a great experience so far. And more has to be learned by me. So definitely, I will become good speaker.
How about the confident level? How much confident have you got till now that you
Mhm.
could say that yes, to some extent
Yes,
I am confident up
yes.
to this?
I can say I have confidence, and I'm very much confident after joining
Okay.
this class.
How could it happen in your life?
Actually, it was happened by practicing,
Not it
and
was happen. Not it was happen. It happened.
it happened.
How did it happen? The answer will be it happened.
It happened.
Hmm.
It happened by practicing and
By
speaking
practicing, having conversation,
conversation.
and getting some confident in speaking. Absolutely.
Yes.
So now doing some discussions and speaking something in English, practicing few sentences and some structures in English. How important all these things are in the process of learning English language? What do you think about this?
It's not very important because any conversation, we, if we want to make, then we should be able to speak in a right way,
Mm,
correctly. Then that will be conveyed very well.
mhm,
That's why they are very much important.
mhm. Absolutely. Now, apart from this, do you have any questions, any doubts till now the
Mm,
classes you attended and you saw the various ways activities of learning language? Any questions, any
No,
doubts do you have which we should be discussing over here? It seems that we are feeling a little sleepy also. Little, not much, because the time is
no, sir. I have nothing to show.
no questions, no doubts, according to you.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Then homework has to be followed for learning language. As I said, you forms of verb and speaking sentences practice is very important. With noun, ing, verb form, and all those things, making the habit of speaking it in English language. Later on, it may become our habit. One thing we need to understand that English is not much difficult as we make it. What we
Yes,
should
sir.
be doing instead of making it very difficult and complicated, we should be practicing it. But the question comes again, how to practice? I have question for you, how to practice English.
The best thing is that we should only communicate with the people,
Now,
and
okay, go on.
if we have any training and if we are making minor mistake, then we should be correcting on the
Now,
time.
I'm also not uh, agree with this point up to 100%, maybe 50 to 60% I'm agree with you. You say the best way to improve English is always will be practice. What to practice? My name is I am from, my name is I am from. There should be a structure, various structures. The best way to practice English, make a goal of having conversation with 1000 questions. When question, where question, how questions, how oft questions, questions on various topics. Okay, one practice method. Another practice method of having some discussions on different topics. Another practice methods, there is a trainer who is giving us the training and speaking practice of some sentence structures as I give you in the online class. Speaking out the 12 sentences by using different three forms of verb and making sure that you do follow the auxiliary verbs very correctly. Also the use of ism or past verb in six sentences as I've had how all those things are used. When we say we just need to practice, what to practice? So many things are there: structures, questions, discussions, story, reading, debate, listening, knowing first of all how many structures, how many topics, how many how many like exercises can be used for practicing English. Otherwise, if we say okay, we need to, okay, for learning English, we need to practice. A new learner, what will he practice? Hi, my name is, I am from, I do, my job is, okay, nice to meet you. He will practice only this thing. And you will say, okay, by practicing English will come. What will become? Only that thing is repeating again and again. What new has he learned? The new things will be learned by a trainer. And sometime talking to someone, if someone is speaking something which you don't know, we I heard most of the people in the YouTube channel, they will say just practice, 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 you will learn English. That is good. What to practice? According to me, 1000 WH question words, yes no question words 500, 3000 three forms of verb practice in sentences present, past and future, how language will come, 24 auxiliary verbs, practice it in 6 sentences, at least 200, 6 sentences, practice it in 5 forms. What else to practice? Read a passage. After reading that passage, speak something from your own side in English language. Give the explanation based on that particular passage what you read. While giving the explanation from your own side, what kind of words are you using here? Half from the written passage, half from your own side to make it little simple. Practice language based on a particular topic. Like for example, okay, we take a topic summer holiday. Now I ask you a question. How often do you go for picnic? How often do you go for vacation? Now what is this? This is following the sentence, question sentence structure. If person is not aware of how often do you go for picnic, what is this? How often do you go? Go I understand, picnic I understand, you I understand from this sentence. But I don't understand how often. Do, the use of do also is not clear in my mind. Where do we really use to does? How it has to be used? Subject verb agreement, modal verbs, passive voice. Various exercises are there. Let us practice language according to that. Then the practice will really extend in some level of learning language. But nobody says about this. They just say, okay, practice, practice, practice. By practicing, you will learn language. What to practice and how to practice? How to make the goal of practicing, goal of taking the level of practicing. What can be the basic level of practicing language under basic level of practicing English language? What are the important topics? Grammar topics, speaking skills. If it is clear for a learner, then I guess they have some idea about what you think about this. Now it's your turn.
You have spoken correctly because we should practice with how to ask question, how to answer, WH, and verb and so on. So I do agree.
It simply means following various topics. And people don't want to do that and they don't know what are the topics. Then they will say, no, sir, I think for learning English, I personally no need to join any online classes. I speak, I understand. For your basic level, for your understanding, some extent you may speak it also. That is not the big deal. But getting mastery in speaking, in language, understanding for your job, career. So my advice is always follow a trainer, spend time with them, ask them various questions. First of all, get the clear picture about learning language, what are the important topics, will it consist, and after that, based on that, get some clarity how many of them you know, what are the new for you, how are they used in practicing, teaching, learning, and speaking areas in order to learn English language. What do you think about this?
Yes, sir, you should follow and everyone should have only trainer who can correct him and we can also learn by listening from him. That's why we need to have a coach trainer to develop our English.
I personally believe, but these days I hear that people joining their English speaking course somewhere, but they are not learning it well. Finally, people come to here in the English Academy and get a lot of confidence in their speaking. So that is the saddest part of people go here and there learning language. Sometimes trainers are also not very helpful, very open minded to give the better knowledge to their learners. And some trainers they have very low standard of teaching English language, very the translation method, only few sentences, not allowing a learner to develop more. All those things are there also. That's why sometimes learners are misled by trainer, though they pay the money and give the time. And sometimes the people just here and there they inquire but don't understand the seriousness of learning language. So I prefer if you really find someone like some expert in this particular field, do join, it will save your time. Most of the English learners are just wasting their time here and there, years and years will go, they will not get the confidence. For example, like you on the day you said yes or no, I think I should join. After joining, now you are secure a little bit. Now the way practice is taking place here, it is giving you the confident. The picture is becoming more clear. The in coming days when we develop more exercises, the more topics in practical practice way, all those things will give you a lot of confidence at the end of this course. After getting that confident in one area, you are sure in your mind about speaking English and understanding, because your course was up to a high standard. It has really worked from the basic to higher. One thing is clear now, after going through the course, like there is no any important topic which I don't know, which I might have not practiced. So why to worry about? I have practiced very important topics in the process of learning English language. I do know the grammar, I do know the uses, and language it just flows from my mouth according to situation, whether grammar, maybe any topics, any conversation. That is the confident level. After doing this, only the final thing remains, that is called the pronunciation part, making sure that we pronounce words more correctly. Don't mix up our own pronunciation, our own language pronunciation. Like instead of saying how are you, we will say how. How are you? So doesn't sound good. The way of speaking. We discussed a lot, and the time is not allowing us to go ahead, I guess so. Finally, any questions, any doubts to have? One thing is that this is a recorded video, will be there in the YouTube. Later on, it's gonna give you a lot of opportunity to listen. As I say, you listen, listen. This also can be utilized just for listening, from like maybe whenever you find time small in the short period of time, do listen it. Do listen the my conversation, how did I speak. Do listen your conversation as well, how were you speaking. This is the positive aspect of having class something like this, where we record it and keep it in YouTube for later on, just to listen ourselves what we spoke, how we speak, how did our teacher speak, how he explained when he was teaching us something in this online class. And I see that in YouTube channel one more viewer is there, stick for the little longer period of time. Thanks a lot for being there, though we don't know who you are, but whoever you are, we do respect for you, at least for paying attention here for short period of time, what's really going on here. Nivas, any questions, any doubts do you have before we dismiss?
No, sir. Thank you.
And finally, what would you like to say?
Actually, it's very late now, so we can wind up. That's what I would like to say.
Thanks a lot. So I would like to say finally for our viewers, those who are following the English Ki Duniya channel, English Ki Duniya, English has a lot of English world. One is a English world. Another thing is that there is a world inside of English language. So do consider subscribing our YouTube channel and hit that notifications well, so that whenever we upload and come live something like this, you get notified. And in future, if you wish to get connected with us, you are most welcome. I would be happy to assist you, especially the adult learners, through this YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. So we will dismiss it here.
Yes, sure.